Okay, let's look at this. So like, hi, my name is Catherine.
And my name's Courtney.
And thank you for joining us today for our webinar.
Today we're going to be discussing differentiating teaching and learning, but specifically focusing on the use of manipulatives within the classroom.
Okay, so first, to start things off, we just want to ask you a quick question. So we're going to give you a problem for you to solve, and later on we'll discuss how you solved it. Or okay, so Lena bought 3 notebooks at $1.25 each, a box of pencils at $1.50 each, and a box of pens at $2. How much did Lena spend? Yeah, we'll give you like 3 minutes. Yeah, 2 minutes. So okay, while they're basically doing it, should we have this on a slide so they can read it? Because then they'll be like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe, yeah.
So let's just.
Or we can repeat the question to them as they're solving. So again, you can say Lena bought 3 notebooks at $1.25 each, a box of pencils at $1.50, and a box of pens at $2. How much did Lena spend? But it probably would be good to have it on a slide.
We'll have it on a slide, and maybe for those who are comfortable, we can just repeat it again. So we'll just read it again for you while you do this. Blah, blah, blah. So we'll just add like 2 minutes and be like, oh my God, look, Courtney has an answer.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll be like, oh, okay, so John, how did you get your answer? And what method did you use to solve the problem? Did anyone use their fingers to count? Any mental seconds? Anyone use mental math? Just another minute. We can probably count these minutes. Anyone use a calculator? Anything else?
Yeah, it'll probably take a while too, because there's like 3 or 4 people answering, right?
Yeah, and you'd be like, well, the reason why we're asking.
So that little icebreaker activity is leading into our main discussion for webinar, and we're talking about the importance of differentiated teaching and learning, specifically the use of manipulatives. So throughout this webinar, we'll be referencing a student success differentiated instruction educators package, and we will provide you with the link, as well as you can follow along and follow our resource. So what is differentiated instruction, you might ask? Well, the resource above states that it is differentiated instruction is an effective instruction that is responsive to the learning preferences, interests, and readiness of the individual learner. As well, it's best thought of as an organizing structure or framework for thinking about teaching and learning, not individualized instruction. It is responding to varying student needs by providing a balance of modeled, shared, guided, and independent instructional strategies. So basically, it's a type of instruction that suits the needs of every learner. We want, as future educators, to allow our students to achieve in all of their possible ways, especially the different ways that they all learn.
Am I saying this right here? Yeah. The questions?
Yeah.
Okay. So as future educators who have completed the first block, where have you seen differentiated instruction in the classroom? So we'll just give you a minute to answer that.
Yeah, so a minute,
minutes
a person, and then we kind of respond.
Yeah, so it's like 5 minutes. So more specifically, where have you seen the use of manipulatives in the classroom? Minutes. Here are some valuable. So we have some valuable manipulatives for teachers to use in their classroom, and we believe that all students in grades should be accepting of manipulatives. Some students should be more accepting of the manipulatives, way too much, since each individual has a learning preference.
Yeah, we can probably take that one line out.
Yeah. So the first one that we want to go through is the use of the geoboard. So used to help students learn about perimeter, 2D shapes, and area. So in order for you to follow along, I will provide you with a link to a virtual geoboard, and we'll just kind of do a quick activity on how you can use a geoboard in the classroom. So when you're teaching geometry to students, you can ask them a question, for example, about a measurement of a right angle with the length of 4 and the width of 3. So a lot of students can't mentally imagine that in their head. So with the geoboard, they can actually physically see it. So with the geoboard, you want to take the elastic down. My teacher, how to use this? Okay.
Yeah,
you want to take an elastic and go down 4 times in length, well, 4 centimeters in this case, and then 3 times. You can actually see the physical right angle triangle, and then this way too, they can actually see that it is a right angle since it's going in an L shape. So this is a great way for students to learn about using geoboards. You can play with the geoboard for maybe an extra minute, and then we'll give you time to do that.
see the different shapes that you can create, and
Yeah.
it's all about being hands-on and interactive with the students at this point.
Another activity that students can use, if you want to follow along, you can actually split for area. So here's an example. You do, it's like a triangle. Like that. So that way they can use this, split it, and then find the area of each part and find the total area of the, what's that shape? Polygon?
Polygon.
Of the polygon. So next is the use of geometric solids, which is right here. And then we say, so with this, students can learn the number of vertices, faces, and points that various shapes have. On a picture of a geometric shape on the smart board, whatever, they can actually have a physical, like a tangible object in their hands to actually see how it feels, count the shapes, count the faces, and the vertices. Okay, great. This is a triangular prism. So I'm just going to ask you quickly, how many vertices does a triangular prism have? I'll just do it slowly.
Yeah, what do you see?
So we'll just give you a few seconds to
Is
answer
it a
that.
prism or a pyramid?
Oh no, that is a prism. That is a pyramid.
That's
Okay, we'll say a pyramid.
So, yeah, or we just grab the hexagon or something.
We'll do a pyramid. We're like, can we flatter ourselves? Okay, great. 5. Okay, so let's look at this one more time and let's count how many faces there are.
Yeah, that's good for seeing the faces.
What?
That's good to do like the two different ones.
Velcro tongue. And then we say 5. Okay. So you with this, you can see that there are, like, you can actually feel it and count it yourself, how many faces and vertices are. It'll be a lot better for students when you introduce more complex shapes like the hexagon. We gotta Google this.
I have nothing to hexagon.
What? Is it a hex? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6?
Yeah, hexagon. 6.
Hexagon prism. It has to be a prism.
I don't know.
Whatever.
Like it's a physical hexagon.
Should I have them count this too?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, so if you want, we'll
Yeah,
look
show
at
them
this
too,
and then we'll count the sides. So 1, 2, whatever. How many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Seconds to go for that. I'll keep showing it. So just count 10 seconds. That's right. There are 10 sides. So we're gonna look at the next manipulative.
So the next manipulative that we have found is a great resource for students to use to figure out their adding, subtraction, multiplication tables. So basically here we have a block, and it's a set of ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, hundred thousands, and millions. So I know growing up as a kid, I could not understand math just because based on numbers. I was a very visual learner. So this for me, because it's color-coded, number one, it's tactile, it's visible, you can physically see the differences in size between the ones and the millions. It's a great resource to allow students to learn how to add. And I know that in the lower grades, they like to add and talk about the ones column, the tens column, the hundreds. So here, that's something you can exactly do. You can place it above a piece of paper and have the students write out a number and say how many blocks are there. So if we were saying separating it, your student to say, so they can physically see this number, and you would ask them how many it is. So if we have 1, 2, 3,000 and 222, so they can physically see the number. It helps them visualize.
You probably have to go like super close up and see the numbers.
Yeah.
Though, in this case.
Yeah, I'll have to go closer. So that's a great resource for students to use and visualize their math learning. The next resource that we found is something that is geared more towards younger tackle box. It comes with a little book saying, "Let's tackle math," and it has a bunch of patterning and sequencing activities where the students actually physically take a creature from their tackle box, from the varying creatures, and you have to sort it onto the book. So here we see in the column, it goes grasshopper, orange, green, orange, green. So what would the next one be?
Yay, good job.
Yeah, you're correct. There's a green grasshopper in here. Hopefully there is. Okay, yeah, green grasshopper. There it is. Another one. This one's a bit difficult because it has all the same color. So we have green toad, green worm, green toad, green worm, green toad. What would the next one be? Perfect. Green worm. Awesome. So this is a great thing. I know children love playing with little animals, little creatures, and I think this would be very valuable for young students to learn, number one, their animals, but also their math and patterning and sequencing and stuff. And you could definitely step it up to having students create their own patterns by getting rid of the book, allowing them to have the physical pieces and saying, okay, Bobby, Billy, go create your own pattern now and write it out on a piece of paper. Is it for our resources that we found?
Let me start with your question. Or
Yeah. So basically, we feel that manipulatives are huge for students. I know that in my Math 8, when I was teaching my teaching block last year, and the kids were all over technology. They couldn't get enough of it. They used the iPads for everything. They found apps and resources. But I know in some schools, or laptops, so they use more physical, tangible objects, which I think are just as valuable as technology. So I saw in my placement a lot of students using the website Prodigy and playing online math games there to create their math learning because they couldn't sit and write in a book all day. It all depends on the teacher and the classroom environment, what you're comfortable with and what your students are also comfortable with, I would say.
yeah, for my placement, I was in a grade 6 class, so because they were actually preparing for EKO most of the time, they actually had used geoboards majority of the time, and they had kind of like a physical manipulative to use. So whenever they were doing area or perimeter, they would use a geoboard and make shapes, and they would actually kind of mirror. For example, you can make a triangle and then mirror the triangle using another elastic or add an extra shape in there. The geoboard was actually really helpful for them. They were really excited to use it every single class. The only thing with the geoboard, though, is that you have to make sure the students are using it safely.
Yes,
Because you want to make sure that the elastics are actually, are stretchy and not so old that it would just snap for the students.
Like they use with any toys or manipulatives within the classroom, you always want to make sure they're safe and the kids get the riot act before they start working with them,
Good type of safety and shit like that. Okay. So going off that, we just want to ask you a few questions. Oh, we'll ask you one question, sorry. Use differentiated learning in the classroom. A minute to answer that. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. What was this? So
we can say from our resource we found.
Yeah, from our resource we found that we should use it because it'll help all students learn. I'll do 2 and do the rest learning. And then it'll help. Oh yeah, we're doing the first 2, 3, 2, and then you explain the last 3. Because I feel like I talked too much from here to there.
Okay.
Okay, and then explain another minute, and it also increases student motivation and achievement. Explanation.
Or do you just want to just say these? Because I don't think we really have to explain them. Pretty self-explanatory.
Because we only talked for like 12 minutes.
I know, but I feel like it's gonna take long. We haven't actually timed out when our people watching are talking. So
we'll leave that because by that time we've already said it all. So where do you think you would like to use manipulators in your future placements? And 5 minutes. Do you know of any manipulators that you would find valuable, that you found valuable? Okay. And thank you so much for tuning into our webinar.
Yep, we hope you use manipulators in your future.
And we can't wait to see yours.